Hey, welcome to The Warp. I'm Jack Reeder with Future Pastimes. In this video, we are going to be looking at yellow alert aliens in Cosmic Encounter that have multifaceted elements to them. That is, these are aliens whose powers do multiple things, not just one simple, elegant thing like virus, which multiplies instead of adds ships to cards, or healer, which heals your ships from the warp. These are aliens where maybe the one thing that it could do wasn't enough, or there's a bunch of little things that altogether equal an alien. And we'll take a look at this. This is not the complete list. There are definitely several aliens that are yellow alert that could fall into this category, but we're going to look at 9 of these yellow alerts, and we'll talk about why. Let's start off with one from Cosmic Dominion, and that is the Bride. So the Bride is a fun alien. It's the power to marry. And what it does is when they're a main player, before allies are invited, the Bride can use their power to marry their opponent. That player has to choose one of their ships and place it on the Bride's sheet as a marker. And you can only be married to one player at a time. This is not the Wild West here. So you and your spouse, this is the player that you're married with, you can ally with each other without being invited. And you can show each other cards at any time. And once per encounter, you can use this power to allow a trade of one card from each spouse's hand to the other. So there's a couple of things right there. Note, too, though, that you're marrying your opponent, but you're still going through with that first encounter. You're fighting it out normally. No commentary on that. So you get this idea of the free alliance. So if your spouse is in an encounter, you as the Bride can just join in. And the same is true the other way. And then being able to show each other cards and have a trade is interesting. But there is another element to it, and that is you may divorce your spouse at any time by turning that player's ship on your sheet upside down. So they've still lost that ship. But then you take half of their cards from their hand, rounded down, as alimony. You cannot remarry a player that you previously divorced. And so that is interesting. And what's, I think, especially interesting about that last bit was that it was not going to be part of the published alien. It came out of the beta testing, and the beta testers really felt like Bride needed a little bit something extra. We as the designers didn't agree that it needed anything extra, but we loved the thematic, laugh out loud quality of the divorce alimony element to Bride. Almost now it's Bridezilla in some ways. So we were like, absolutely, let's do it. So we thought it was a good idea. It did make this a multifaceted alien. It already was a little bit. So the free alliance plus the trade of the card, that's 2 mini things that on their own, probably not enough to warrant being an alien there, but combined, we thought was a pretty decent alien. But this certainly takes it to 11. So I'm happy to have that in there. Moving on to Cosmic Eons, we have an alien called Fire Dancer, and you can tell by how much text there is on here that there's a lot going on. So let's dive in. The power to awe. So as a main player, when you reveal an attack card and there is no fire token in the targeted system, you may use this power to place a fire token in that system. At the end of that encounter, all attack cards revealed are placed face up under the fire token as fuel instead of being discarded. So that's something that's happening, but it's not really enough right now. We're not even sure what's going on yet. So let's read further. When you are not a main player, after Destiny is drawn, you may offer to create or expand a fire in the targeted system, and the defense may offer you anything that they could give you as part of a deal in order to do so. You may use this power to accept the offer, and then if the targeted system does not already have a fire token, you're going to place one there. And then you and the defense may each place 1 attack card from your hand under that token as fuel. So we still haven't gotten to what this alien does, but what we have here are 2 different ways that you are creating these fires that you're going to dance around. So now, whenever both sides in an encounter reveal attack cards in the system with a fire token, Unless you are the offense or an offensive ally, the face value number showing on each fuel card is added to the defense's total. And at the end of the encounter, a fire which added to the defense's total is extinguished, and the fire token and fuel cards are discarded. So you're adding to the defense. That's what these fire tokens are doing, but you have a couple of ways that you can do them. So you can do it yourself, but you can also make a deal with somebody to create a fire token in there. And that's what I think takes us into a multifaceted area, because you've got an alien that is basically allowing for cards to be added to the defense. And this is certainly something that benefits Fire Dancer. They can do this in their own system in order to defend it later on, a little bit like Citadel can. And this is what separates this from Citadel, is this deal-making element where you can say, hey, we can put a fire token in there. There's also soft advantages of you being able to shed cards from your hand. It becomes a little bit of a hand management alien as well. So there's a lot going on. What do I think of Fire Dancer? I think it's fine. I think it's a decent alien. I don't mind playing Fire Dancer. This was inspired by somebody at Fantasy Flight who apparently was and maybe still is a Fire Dancer in real life, and that captured the imagination of Bill and Peter. They were like, we have to make a Fire Dancer alien. This is what they ended up with. So like I said, it does venture a little bit into what Citadel does, but they put enough in there to make it its own alien. And so I think it's an interesting effect. I'm fine having it in there. The art, I think, is what really makes it worthwhile. So let's move on. Cosmic Incursion gives us Fungus. So this one, in some ways, maybe doesn't even belong on this list, but there's two big things that go on that I think warrants inclusion. So let's take a look here. It's the power to adhere. So the first thing that Fungus does is when you're a main player or ally, after you win an encounter in which you have at least one ship, you use this power to capture any losing ships, stacking them under one or more of your ships that were in the encounter instead of sending them to the warp. And then you have these stacks are controlled by you, and each stack is considered to be one ship. So you may have 8 ships stacked underneath it, but it counts as one ship, which means that you can launch that one giant ship into an encounter as the offense or an ally. So that right there that's a lot. Capturing somebody's ships, and then, you've got them. It's hard to get rid of them. They're freed when they go to the warp. So being able to hold on to somebody's ships is pretty good. But Fungus doesn't end things there. This is where it really gets crazy, is as a main player or ally, after encounter cards are revealed, you use this power, and then each stack in the encounter adds the number of ships that it contains to your side's total instead of just 1. So if you have 8 ships under your 1 ship, that's actually 9. It's a +9 that you're going to be adding to your encounters as a main player or ally. So you really, there's 2 different use things here. So you could zap Fungus from capturing them. Once they're captured, though, they're captured. And if you zap them, they're just not adding those ships in there, but it doesn't break up the stack. So that's why I put Fungus on here. Fungus is a very highly rated alien. This is a great alien, and part of the reason is because it's got these 2 facets to it. You can capture a lot of ships, and then you've got a lot of ships that you're going to be adding to your totals later on, and that's a big deal. So, if I'm Fungus, I've got an attack 30 or an attack 40. I'll play that on defense, especially if everybody's allied up against me and they're going for a colony together. I really want to capture all those ships. So you are incentivized to win when you are facing a lot of other ships. So there you have it. All right, off to Cosmic Eons again with Klutz. So Klutz has the power of clumsiness, and it has 2 different and distinct facets to its alien power, but they work thematically. So let's look here. Whenever you draw more than 1 card from the deck, including when you're dealt your starting hand, use this power to drop 1 or 2 of the drawn cards. So this is mandatory. You have to do it. The dropped cards are discarded without replacement. So it's hand management. Sometimes you're going to draw a great hand of cards and not want to drop any of them, but usually there's one card, because you only have to drop one, but you may drop two, so that can be handy as well. But that alone was not enough. I think this is a Bill Martinson alien. I think he was like, this is great, but you're not going to be doing it that often. So it needs something else. So whatever you place more than one of your ships on the same planet, use this power to examine any one other ship on a planet in the same system next to the planet you're placing this one on, and then drop it, and the drop ship goes to the warp. So it's two different elements of clumsiness. You're getting your cards, and you're going to drop a card. You're placing your ship, and you're going to be, oh, look at this, and you drop a ship. So that's kind of what they're going. And Bill is good at trying to make sure that he phrases things, whether it's in the power description or the history, to help bundle everything together thematically. So he's done that here. I think it works. I don't think anybody really questions. It's like, why do you have these two different effects on there? It makes sense, and I think it's worth it. Either one of these on its own, probably not enough for a full alien, but together they make sense and they make for a good alien. All right, Cosmic Eons again with Moocher. So Moocher has two different things that it's doing here. Power to barge in. If you lose or fail to deal on the first encounter of your turn as the offense, after the encounter, you may use this power. Place an empty couch token. So Moocher comes with these couch tokens. You place it in any system other than the one in which you lost. Then place 1 to 4 of your ships on it from your colonies. Couches are treated as planets in the system where they now exist. So here, if it's your first encounter and you don't end up getting a foreign colony, you are going to get a foreign colony. So that's one of the things Moocher does. But, you're only getting to do this once on your turn, so there's more. The second part is, when the offense does not invite you to ally and you have any couch colonies in their system, you may use this power to call shotgun. The offense must either let you ally with 1 to 4 ships from those couch colonies, or let you take a card at random from their hand. So it's another way to mooch. And again, like Klutz, we're looking at thematically tying these two effects together, which I think it does. So I think it makes this a worthwhile alien. This was not the final submission design. The one that we submitted to Fantasy Flight did a little bit more, but Fantasy Flight was like, nope, let's just strip this down a little bit, and what we ended up with, I think, is still fine. I think this is still a good alien. Those couch tokens are fun to have on there, and it's good to know that you are going to get something out of that encounter. If you're in a game with a lot of people, it may be a while before you get more than one couch out there into the game. And then it means that your second part is not going to be firing as often. Let's say that you're purple, and that would be me, but I'll say I'm purple and I'm the moocher, and I've got a couch and green system. Until my turn comes around again and I have an opportunity to put another couch out, which means I have to lose that first encounter, which means I'm only going to have one encounter. So not great. But I'm waiting for green to be the offense so that I can use the shotgun part and either get invited, and I was going to be invited anyway, or get that random card, which is nice. So it's a little bit of a fail-safe. All of the parts of Moocher are fail-safes, but I think it's still a pretty good alien, and it needed to have those two elements. All right, this one is going to be a little bit different because there's some moving parts and there's a lot of conditions that need to be met. But we're going to go with love. This is from Cosmic Dominion. And so, and love was designed as a counterpart to hate. So if you're not familiar with hate, at the start of hate's turn, they discard a card from their hand, and everybody else has to discard the same type of card, or else hate gets to choose 3 of their ships to send to the warp. So it's pretty brutal. I wanted to have an alien that mechanically worked like hate, but didn't, have that same hateful element to it. So here's how it works. So the power of joy. At the start of your turn, use this power. Choose and discard 1 card from your hand. Every other player in clockwise order may then choose and discard 1 card from their hand. So they can choose, they can decide to discard a card or not, and it can be whatever they want. If they discard the same type as you, that player may release all of their ships from the warp. So unlike with hate, which is you're having to get rid of a card, and if it doesn't match the type, then you're going to be losing ships. Here you're getting your ships out of the warp, so it's really kind of a benefit for you. Now the second part of this, which is really the heart of what Love is doing, is if all the players discard the same type of card as you collect all of the discarded cards, including yours. So that it's a bit of a gamble, and let's say that you're like, great, I'm going to throw away an attack card. Everyone throws away attack cards. You can take all of those attack cards. Are they going to be any good? A lot of them probably will not be good cards, but you're getting a bunch of cards. And that's easy to do when it's something like an attack card or a negotiate card, something like that. It'll be trickier if you're discarding an artifact or a flare or a reinforcement. Is everybody going to want to discard one of those cards? Probably not, even if it means getting all of their ships out of the warp. But it's just going to depend on the game, the players, and what's going on. But there's one little extra thing here is if one or more of the other players do not discard a card matching the type that you discarded, you may release all of your ships from the warp and establish a foreign colony in the system of one of those players with those ships. And that is really what Love is driving at here. They are hoping, if they've got ships in the warp, that they can throw away a card, and not everybody is going to be able to throw away that same type of card because they're looking to get that free colony. So it's only start of turn, so they're only going to get to do this once, sort of like Moocher, but it can be very impactful. And let's say they do discard, they put down a flare, and nobody wants Love to get that free colony. And that's really what's going to incentivize them to discard the type of card that you have discarded. It's not just to get their own ships out, but to keep you from getting that foreign colony. Because on your turn, you could get 3 foreign colonies. If you get a free colony here, and then you win your first encounter, and then you win your second encounter. So that's a big deal. 3 colonies on one turn. And I've done it. I've won with Love on multiple occasions, which is one of the reasons why I love Love. So that can have an impact. And if you've thrown away a flare and everyone else is just trying to stop you from getting a foreign colony, if they are successful in stopping you, you're walking away with several flares or several reinforcements or artifacts or whatever it is. So it's still a pretty good alien. And does it fit into this theme of multifaceted? I think it does, but in a very different way, I think, than a lot of the other ones. And again, I felt like the design needed this to make everything work, to be enough like hate that you can see the relationship, but different enough that it's not just hate with a slightly different angle going on. So this is a very different experience for everybody. They're usually getting something out of it. Maybe not everybody, it just depends. But Love is certainly going to walk away with something good, especially if they have ships in the warp. If they don't have, like if Love has to go first when the game starts, they're like, boo. But there you have it. All right, we're going to go to Cosmic Eons now. And we're going to look at Pack Rat, another one with a lot of text going on here. And it seems like, there's probably so many different things. It's really not that many, but there's a lot of, explaining edge cases and what do you do in this and that. So let's look. Power to collect. As a main player, before encounter cards are selected, you may use this power to take one object belonging to the other main player and place it on this sheet. That player must then give you one of their ships from a colony, and this is, again, as a marker, very much like Bride. Place it on top of the object as an owner ID. Collectible objects. So this is part of what this is. Here's a list of what you can collect here. A card at random from their hand, a ship from the warp, the top card from a set of essence cards, an empty planet from that player system, a face-down unresearched tech card, or a token on that player's alien sheet, including special tokens understood to be on the sheet. For example, those of Fire Dancer, Grudge, or Particle. And those 3 aliens don't have like game setup text that says take the tokens of your alien and put them on your sheet. And we noticed that Grudge didn't do that. So once we realized that was true, we tried to make more aliens not have to have game setup text by just following that example, but we needed to include it in here to say, all right, those are eligible. You cannot take a token. Of doing so would make the alien power completely unusable. You may not look at a face-down collected object, so you can't look at any cards that you've taken. So now, here's one of the new elements, one of the elements for it. So each object you have collected adds 1 to your total when you are the defense. But that's not really the heart of what this alien is. I'm collecting these things so I can add to my defense. But it's in there because we kind of felt like it needed to be in there. The second paragraph, you may release objects as part of a deal with any player. Also, when you are not a main player, during the alliance phase, you may release objects in trades. These trades may be suggested by any player, must involve the release of 1 or more objects, and may include anything that you could be given as part of a deal. However, only you may gain a foreign colony from such a trade. You must accept a simple trade of a foreign colony for an object's owner. You may use this power to finalize each alliance phase trade, and each released object is restored to its original owner with its ID ship as well. So again, most of what's on here is just, paperwork, the bureaucracy and logistics of how do you implement this alien that behaves very differently from all other aliens. So it does have a couple of things going on. It's got this idea of you're taking stuff away from players, which can be a big deal, especially depending on the aliens, especially aliens with their own things that you can collect. But that alone was just not enough. It wasn't enough for it to be an alien. So it did need the part about, getting something for giving those things back. But we felt like, all right, it's a pack rat. It's collecting these things. It's got to be for a reason, not just for extortion later on. So we added that thing about the defense on there. Is it too much? I don't think it is. This is anyone who chooses an alien with this much text in there is looking for a slightly different experience in Cosmic Encounter, and they're going to want to have answers to any questions that they have, and hopefully this will answer or allow them to come up with an answer for anything that they want. So I think Pack Rat is fine. It's not my favorite of one of the aliens, but I've played it before and enjoyed it, so I think it's fine. And I think it does count as a multifaceted alien because it does have a couple of things. Seems like it would be more things, but it is not. All right, our next one from Cosmic Dominion is Tourist. So Tourist does have some game setup text. You're going to have a cruise liner token, and you're going to put some ships on there. And every time the cruise liner enters your own system, you can put ships on it from your home colonies onto your cruise liner. So power to sightsee. This is an alien that has 4 use things on it. 2 are mandatory and 2 are optional. So that's why it says varies down here, which is not a normal thing. At the end of the Destiny phase, if any hazard warnings were drawn during the encounter, use this power to send one of your ships to the warp from the cruise liner. Now that's not really its power, because what would be the point of that? Here, you have the power to lose one of your ships. That's just something that helps make everything else work. So let's get into the next part. If no hazard warnings were drawn, use this power to move the cruise liner one system clockwise or counterclockwise. That's how you're going to be positioning the cruise liner, is you're looking at Destiny and you're making sure there's no hazard warning. That lets you move the cruise liner. If the cruise liner is in the defensive system, so you flip Destiny, and then if you can move it one system and end up in the defensive system, if you do not already have a colony in that system, you may use this power to disembark all of your ships from the cruise liner to any one planet there. So that is probably the main part of this alien, is you're trying to get that cruise liner to line up with where the defense is in Destiny so that you can get a free colony if you don't already have a colony in that system. Then we get into the next part here, which is what makes this multifaceted for real. If for any reason you do not disembark, and that is because you're not in a system that matches Destiny, or you already have a colony there, you may use this power to send a postcard home. Return one of your ships from the cruise liner to your colonies, and then take a card at random from that player's hand, from the system owner's hand. So if you're in red system, you'll take a card from red. And again, this was a matter of this business of moving your cruise line around to get a free colony is fun. It's innovative. It's interesting. But it doesn't necessarily happen that often, especially in a game with a lot of players. Even a game with fewer players, you're more likely to already have a colony in that system. So you're not going to be doing that much. So it needed to have something else, some other reason for the cruise liner and the tokens to be on it. And you're out there trying to find interesting ports in order to send home a postcard, get a free card. So it needed it, just like most of these others needed to have something else on there. And it's thematic. We send a postcard. That's how we rationalize that effect on there. So I enjoy that one. And our last one from Cosmic Dominion, so you can see most of these aliens are in Eons and Dominion, is Yin Yang. And Yin Yang starts off with a very simple concept. The concept is you can ally with both sides. But this is an alien that needed to have a little bit more, needed to have a stick and a carrot element on there, which is what I think justifies having this as a multi-faceted alien, at least on this list. So let's take a look at all of this here. Power of balance. When you are invited to join both sides of an encounter, you may use this power to ally with both sides. So that's pretty straightforward, and it could have been, in fact, when this was submitted, that was all that the alien did. But through playtesting, it turned out that Yin Yang wasn't really getting invited to both sides, and didn't, necessarily want to join both sides. So it needed to have some other mechanisms in there to make this as an alien that was viable, interesting, and fun. So if you ally with both sides and the defense loses, for each ship that you have allied with the offense, the defense may keep one of their losing ships on the planet instead of sending it to the warp. So this is some carrot there for the defense to invite you. If they invite you and they lose, they're going to be able to keep some of their ships. If you ally with both sides and the offense loses, for each ship that you have allied with the defense, the offense may receive one reward. So that incentivizes the offense to ally. So now players want to invite Yin Yang to both sides so that they can get something out of losing if they end up losing. But we felt like carrots were not enough, so there needed to be some stick as well. When a main player declines to invite you to ally, you may give that player one of your Yin Yang tokens. Each main player who has a Yin Yang token, when their opponent loses ships to the warp, they have to lose an equal number of ships. So all of this is designed, these multi-facets are really designed to just help Yin Yang be able to use its power. So the alien itself doesn't necessarily do multiple things, but it's creating multiple situations in order to do one thing, which is ally with both sides. So they've got to be invited, and that was really what we wanted to have happen. We didn't want to have an alien that was just too easy to ignore. Like, well, if we don't invite Yin Yang, we don't have to worry about Yin Yang. But now you do have to worry about not inviting Yin Yang, and you do get something out of inviting them. So it sort of double incentivizes you to invite Yin Yang to both sides of an encounter. And that is why it's considered a multifaceted alien, in my opinion. So there you have it. Those are 9 aliens from the yellow batch of aliens across the cosmos. Let me know what you think of these aliens. Let me know what you think of the multifacetedness of the aliens. If you have another one that is multifaceted that you like and want to discuss, certainly do so in the comments. And we'll have one on Red Alert as well. The one for the green one is linked in the description, so be sure to check that out as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.